All right, welcome back to the Starfighter podcast with Dom and Jake. We're here talking Mandalorian season 3, episode 3, entitled The Convert. I'm really excited to talk about it. I think Jake is excited, maybe for other reasons, but in either case, we're out here.
Yeah.
We welcome you guys to the live show. Of course, if you're watching on the replay, we also welcome you. And no matter what, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You can also follow us on the podcast feed, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Hit us up over there. Give us a good review, too. And above all else, we definitely want to hear you guys' theories, comments, any questions. You can fire them into the live chat or the comment section on the replay. Jake, how are you doing?
Oh, excellent, my guy. Living the dream out in California, getting this wet weather, and it's been nice.
Nice.
How about you,
Yeah,
man?
good. It's good weather for us right now too. I think it's just about always good weather here, but it's about like 55 and sunny, so not bad. Not
Okay, that's a little chilly, but
bad.
you
Yeah,
know,
I like it. Um, Anything else going on?
no, not much, man. Just been watching these series, and I'm kind of seeing how Bad Batch and Mandalorian are connecting right now. I think
Yeah.
Filoni's doing a great job at trying to elevate the sequels as much as he can. Um, and I appreciate it. I think that Star Wars could be moving in a good direction if they handle this well. All these spin-off series, but I don't know, man. Super stoked to kind of get into this episode. You know,
Yeah, for sure. Why don't we do it? Again, it's called The Convert, and I mean, let's just start at the beginning with this intro. I mean, I kind of texted you right away. You were watching Bad Batch, so thankfully I didn't give away any spoilers. But I was just saying how
I was like, wait, hold on, don't tell anything. I'm not watching that.
yeah. Um, but yeah, because I mean, usually we stay up, late on Tuesday, Wednesday morning to watch it. But yeah, so this kind of it reminded me a lot of like Clone Wars, but like live action. Um, of course, we pick up where we left off last week. They're still down in the mines, and really interesting. Bo-Katan doesn't mention anything about the Mythosaur. She asks Din Djarin if he saw anything down there. He said no, and he asks why, and she's just like, no reason. It's whatever. Um, and anyways, they make their way out, and some Imperial TIE interceptors find them, and I feel like there's honestly so much to talk about with this episode too, because I think it could be safe to say that these interceptors are connected to Gideon. I think when we move on a little bit further, I think the whatever, what's her name? Well, I don't remember her name, but the ex-Imperial officer. I think she's still an Imperial officer. But I think
Elia?
yes, I think she's connected to Gideon still. I mean, of course she was originally, but um, wherever Gideon is, I think she's kind of carrying out his plan now. But yeah, so anyways, going back to the space sequence, and we get a really cool dogfight here. They're trying to make their way back to the castle. Awesome dogfight. We get to see Bo-Katan's skills. Um, her starship is super cool. We've said that in the past. Um, yeah, what do you want to bring out for this intro?
Okay, so I could talk about the intro for 30 minutes with Dom, honestly, if you want to know the truth. The middle, I could condense into 10 minutes and be done with it, and then talk about the very end for another 15 minutes. But so much to unravel, I think, in this first opening sequence. I thought it was really cool how they shot it. And people were speculating at the end of the last episode that maybe Din Djarin was awake because you kind of heard him coughing. It seemed like, I'll have to rewatch it, but it seemed like he was awake when they came out of the water, like he was coughing or whatever. But then at the beginning of this episode, he's silent. So I don't know if you saw it. Like, this is like the big debate that's going on right now in the Star Wars Mandalorian universe with people that are excited about it, is like if he saw it or if he didn't see it, and the reasons why Bo-Katan didn't say anything to him. When I first saw this, I was like, maybe she's gonna go after the sword, and like she took it as a sign that she's the chosen one. But later on at the end of the episode, as we'll see, which I won't talk about too much, my opinion changes on that. But I don't know, man. It's weird. I don't think Din Djarin saw it, and I think it is a good cake like topping to what we talked about last week with her, like kind of going back into like believing the Mandalore way and all that stuff, you know. But thought that whole scene was super interesting. I don't know what you thought about that, Dom. Like, what did you take away from that scene?
I mean, I don't think that he saw it. Honestly, I think he was knocked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What, and you think her intentions, we'll get to at the end. We won't even talk about what you think her intentions are yet, I guess.
Maybe we'll talk about them more at the end.
Yeah. What? Say
I like that it's not like, I feel like we're kind of subverting the expectations again, and we usually bring that up when we talk about The Last Jedi, but it's like it doesn't have to be a bad thing. You know what I mean? I don't want like Star Wars or Marvel, whatever. I don't want it to be just like so easy to like foresee what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be just like so predictable.
Well, I'll tell you what.
They keep kind of changing things up a little bit on us.
I'm a wizard, and I get half my theories 80% right. Okay, you do the math for me. But all right. So okay, we'll get to it at the end then. But anyway, so they leave, and I think that whole starship battle thing is a super cool opening, or not the TIE fighter battle, I should say. A lot of things going around. We saw the space whales in the second episode.
The first one,
right? Was it the first one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we saw him in the first one, and we know that Moff Gideon has been kind of captured. At least his ships and his TIE fighters have been put into like repo. So a lot of speculation saying that this is Thrawn coming back to me. And Bo-Katan was like a big part of everything that was going on to his demise. And I think one of the first things he would do was try taking her out. And so he bombs
I was just about to
her
say
castle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. You kind of went through it really quickly, and I'm trying to break it down as much as I can. But how do you feel about that?
That's like, exactly what I thought when you see the fighters bomb her castle. I'm like, okay, well, who would be doing that? And then I just immediately think back to Rebels, and yeah, definitely speaks to Thrawn, kind of his narrative. So I feel like that would make sense. I mean, like I mentioned before too, I think Gideon still has a hand in all of this, and maybe the two of them are kind of working together. What do you think?
Yeah, I just would need to kind of know when Thrawn came back to start like implementing this. I think they're, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We don't really know when he came back.
Yeah, like I almost feel like this. Yeah, because it's mentioned in season 2 of Mandalorian when Ahsoka's asking like, "Where's Thrawn?" And it almost seems like she might know that he came back. So I don't know if he's been around, like hanging out in the background, in the outer rim, we should say, and just like kind of waiting. But I have no idea. I
Yeah,
don't know.
because that queen or whatever she was, um, on that one planet that Ahsoka was on, she was obviously working for Thrawn, or they had some kind of connection, some kind
Yeah.
of working relationship. So yeah,
So maybe he's been back for, I guess, what would it be? Like 12 years? Because I think I heard it's like a 10-year time jump from like season 2 to season 3 of Mandalorian. So, but I have no idea. I don't know. But anyways, okay. So, I don't know. All I know is it felt like in that scene that was a Thrawn kind of situation rather than a Gideon. And we'll get into it later in the episode what we think Gideon's going through, if he's imprisoned or if he's out and about, and why we think that. But you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I guess one last thing I just wanted to mention is kind of Bo-Katan's initial reaction. Like, you could tell she was really, angry about it, and again, we get to see a lot of
what's
these
she
things.
call them? Mud scuffers or something?
Yeah, and we've heard that a couple times too in Star Wars in the last few years. We've heard that term.
Dang Ferric, bro, that's crazy.
But yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, Jake, but it pays to watch the Clone Wars. It pays off because
Oh my god.
you just don't. You guys that haven't seen it, you don't understand all this stuff. Like, we're seeing her perspective, but it means so much more to us because we've seen what she's gone through in Clone Wars and in Rebels. And so, like, I felt that way. Obviously, last week we talked about that too, when she's like, when she sees Mandalore, completely destroyed. And now we're kind of seeing that happen again, but a little bit different situation. Like, she's actually seeing her castle and her home destroyed. And so she starts to go after the fighters. Oh yeah, what do you want to say?
I was gonna say something, and then I think I'm gonna hold it off if I can remember in the end. I kind of want to say it now, but you can continue.
Up to you.
I think I'm gonna say something, and I'm not gonna talk about the end. But if you've seen this episode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. She's seen her world get blown up. She just came back. She just saw it and saw what happened to it. And then she leaves, and basically the last remnants of her family and what she thinks is her family and her group is destroyed because it's a Vizsla house, the last of the castles. They blow it up.
You mean a Kryze?
Or Kreese, I'm sorry. Yeah, Kreese house. Yeah, and then so I think that's like a fresh beginning for her. It's like the end of whatever she was doing before, and like a start of a new for her after what she saw. So her house is destroyed, which is the castle of her people, and that's the last thing she has as like containing her to a certain group of Mandalorians. And then
we'll talk more about that towards the end too. But yeah, actually, now that you bring it up that way, it kind of reminds me of well, like, we kind of like could picture like a callback to Luke when his home is destroyed, or even Leia when Alderaan is destroyed. And then towards the end of that movie, of course, in New Hope, they kind of like are starting on a brand new path for both of them. So yeah, I think and that's kind of part of the hero's journey too, is facing that adversity, facing those tragedies, and then a lot of times a fresh start onto somewhere new. So
yeah,
we definitely get that, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess now we can move on. Oh, and then the last thing that I just wanted to mention real quick is that she gets really upset at first, and she starts to take out the interceptors, or the bombers, I should say. Shoots one or two down with that rocket, but then just like a ton more come out of hyperspace, and Din's like, we can't stay, like they're outnumbered. So she's smart enough to know, like, that there's nothing that they can do. So
Yeah.
they make
Yeah.
the jump to light speed. What were you gonna say?
Oh shoot. I was gonna ask you, it seemed really important for me because was Thrawn part of the destruction of Mandalore or no?
Yeah, I believe he was in Rebels.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he played a part.
Seemed like the same formation the bombers were flying in, so I don't know. Maybe it is Thrawn's. I'm not going to say nothing about it, but listen, folks, if you heard it here first, I'm going to take the credit. All right.
I think, yeah, I think there's a really good chance that Thrawn's behind that.
I can't wait to see who's playing him.
Yeah,
that's gonna be crazy. Yeah. Anyways,
for sure.
I guess we'll have another episode later about who we hope is playing Thrawn. But
so I'll just mention this now too. I enjoyed this episode for the most part. We're gonna get into the middle section of this episode right now, but I just wanted to mention that I really did enjoy it. My issue is more so with the pacing. It feels a little weird, and I'm saying this because we're now talking about how the story changes and it becomes like a lot more about Dr. Parshing, and then what was her name again?
Elia.
So it starts to become more about them for the majority of this episode, and so that just felt a little bit weird that we spent so much time with them in the middle, and like it could have like went back and forth, you know what I mean? I think that would have made more sense to cut back and forth, but in either case, we can go into that next. And I was really excited to see Coruscant again. I will say that I thought it looked good. A lot of callbacks to the prequels definitely get that same vibe. And I feel like it's just been a while since we saw Coruscant too. So I enjoyed that. I think we all knew that we were going to get more story from Dr. Parshing too. Interesting how he's made the change and is now working for the New Republic. He's kind of giving like his little TED talk in the beginning here, and saying how he made some mistakes working for the Empire, and
I loved it.
This is what he's been working on when it comes to cloning. Although he can't really do much of that same work right now. It's not really legal. But yeah, what do you think about seeing his character again?
So the same thing that you felt. It felt like, to me personally, it felt as if it was an Andor episode in the middle of The Mandalorian. Like It was a spy espionage kind of feel. Compared to like the Western, like Star Warsy kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't appreciate it. I would honestly rather take 35 minutes out of an episode just having dialogue between Din and Bo and like seeing the relationship form rather than this guy. I know why they're doing it because of what I've seen in Bad Batch, and the connection that they're doing is it's all about cloning and getting everything set up for the sequels that have already happened to kind of explain them and basically the story behind why that happened, because it came out of nowhere for us when we first saw the sequels and we were like, this is ridiculous. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Like, why did this even happen? Like, there's no explanation. And now it's all this basically bandaging that's going on top of the sequel series, which if they can pull it off, like I said before, it's cool. But there's a mountain that's like a lab in Bad Batch. If you haven't seen it, spoiler warning, whatever. They're doing a bunch of cloning experiments, and
That's Mount Tantus, right?
There you go. And so in in the first couple seasons of Mandalorian, the scientist, is wearing the same uniform that they actually would wear on from that place. So he's from there. It's been going on for a long time. They're just kind of like explaining this backstory. But regardless, I thought it was okay. I didn't need it. It seemed long. I think it was
too long.
I think it's a little bit of a misdirection, though. I don't think that it was about the doctor. I think it was about Elia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how far you got into explaining where we are with the story. I don't want to proceed your...
Oh, really still at the beginning of seeing Dr. Parshing, but yeah.
But yeah.
I do feel like there's some good things that we can take out of this sequence, like this middle section of the episode. But yeah, definitely agree it was too long. And again, I just really feel like that it should have been shortened, the time that we got to spend with them. I think they still could have accomplished what they wanted to. And then I wish that we just kind of bounced back and forth from Din and Bo-Katan to the doctor and the officer.
Yeah. I thought that would have been better, but I get what they were trying to do, but it just... And I heard that there was also talks about if they should make this whole episode on them, and then it turned out that they're like, you probably shouldn't do that. I don't think audience are going to like that. And so they put in those two book endings to the episode where it starts with them and then it ends with them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about Elia. Like, what's your thoughts on her character, and kind of what's like really important, do you think, when it comes to like the two of them? Because I just want to hear like your thoughts, how it's going to play into the rest of the season.
Well, you said something pretty interesting in the beginning, which was basically that Gideon and Thrawn are working together. And I think that this might hint towards they aren't working together.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, I don't know why, but this was Gideon's scientist. So maybe Gideon was working on something for Palpatine, and Thrawn's working on something for force-sensitive cloning.
But you don't think Thrawn is with Palpatine? Because Thrawn was always like his go-to guy,
Okay, maybe I have it twisted then. Maybe it's the opposite way, where this guy's going for force-sensitive cloning, because I heard someone talk about that. I forget who, and I thought that was interesting. And then but they already showed them trying to build Snoke. But regardless,
mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I think that I think Thrawn is maybe working with that girl, or she's working for Thrawn rather than Gideon. And maybe they're all working together and they just want to get rid of this guy because he knows too much. And maybe, I not to get into spoilers, but at the end of it, she's not a good person and totally, doesn't help this guy whatsoever. So
yeah, no, we can get into that too. Like, why do you think? Because the two of them work together. They were both working for Gideon at one point. I can't even remember exactly. Like, I of course remember seeing her a couple times. I don't think she got a lot of screen time in like
what?
The last times that we saw her. But like what were some noteworthy things that she did before, or scenes? You know what I
mean? Nothing. She was a communications officer for Moff Gideon. So whatever that means to you is what she did. She relayed messages to Moff Gideon, I think, and like she was just around. But I kind of just had a eureka moment where like I think she just kind of is infiltrating the New Republic. I don't think that
Yeah.
she's obviously she's a terrible person. Anyone that was working for Moff Gideon at the end was basically already, the Empire had fallen, and they were just like two true like devout. It's basically the Mandalorians of the Empire. And that's the only way I can think about it, where they're already like, so like this is the way, but about the Empire. And so their whole purpose is to infiltrate the New Republic, because the way she acts for sure seems like she's getting down and dirty and like getting rid of some evidence, like getting rid of this guy who seemed like he actually wanted to use his research for a good purpose.
And I don't think Dr. Parsing was ever a bad guy.
He wasn't.
Even when he was working for the Empire, like he just wanted to do his job. You know what I mean?
No, and if you remember, I forget which Mandalorian season it's in, but he, like, when Mando comes in to take him, he's like, oh, no, he's okay. Like, I didn't harm him. Like, this is what we're doing with him. Like, this is what we want to do. And, like, he wasn't, like, a bad guy. And so I think that maybe she understood that he was going to help the New Republic, and that's why she took him out for the Empire, because she's still such a devout, like, imperialist. And she'll kill anybody that's willing to help the New Republic. And I think it's clear indication, by the way she eats that cookie at the end. That's an Imperial cookie, you know?
The biscuit.
Yeah, the biscuit. But I don't know, man. I think Thrawn's behind most of it. Maybe Gideon was working with him, but it seemed like Gideon was more of a selfish, like he wanted things for himself. He almost seemed like the third sister from Boba Fett, like where she was out Boba for Fett. Yeah. Right? Is that, or what is the fifth sister? Is that what she is? The fifth sister? Fifth sister? I don't know.
From Book of Boba Fett, or
no, from Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
From Obi-Wan. Yeah.
Right.
Regardless, yeah. So I think that, I don't know what's going on with him, but
I know, like we're breaking everything down, but honestly, I feel like it's really hard to say exactly what's going on right now. It's just a lot of speculation. Like everything is kind of open-ended. It could kind of go in different directions. Like
I've heard that Elia, that turns out to be a liar at the end of this episode, to what's his face, to our doc. You know, what if she did the same kind of thing to Gideon that she just did to the doctor? Just kind of like getting him out of the way kind of situation. Or maybe she didn't like him. She worked for him and was like, yeah, I don't like you. And like gets rid of him. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
or do you think Gideon escaped? Let's hear your Gideon stuff. Let me preface this. Do you think that she might have done the same kind of thing that she did to the doctor with Gideon? Do you think Gideon escaped? Because they mentioned it in the beginning with those guys eating and drinking. They bring the doctor and they're like, oh, I heard he escaped. I heard he's like doing this and that. And so...
Wait, who said that they said that he escaped?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. At the beginning when the doctor first meets Elia in the courtyard of his residency.
Well, if that's true, then it's still hard to say exactly what's going on, because then in the first episode, Grief Karga says that the New Republic has him in custody. Remember?
Yeah, but maybe he just hadn't heard of an escape yet. Maybe they wouldn't tell anybody because they don't want people to start panicking. But I think that's pretty much what they're like, oh, I heard that he is in a prison. I heard that he like got out of there. I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. It's like I want just a little bit more to understand what's happening, you know?
Well, if they didn't take 37 minutes out of the episode to hang out with these two people and go on a date in the middle of Coruscant, which was, like you said, I still didn't talk about, but that it was so cool to see Coruscant the way it was like portrayed in this. It was we've seen it in the prequels, where it was a lot more lively. Still, it gets doled out because of what's to come and who's ruling over it, Palpatine. It's a lot less colorful. I think this was probably like the most colorful we've ever seen it, where literally there was color and it was a city and it was vibrant and there was music and everyone seemed to be pretty happy during this episode. But it was super cool to see. And then this was also the first time that we actually saw a piece of Coruscant in its flesh rather than the buildings that were put on top of it. So I thought that was pretty cool too, like seeing the mountaintop.
Right. We can't forget this before we get to the last part of the breakdown. We can't forget when you know what I'm gonna say, don't you?
No, I think you're gonna say when they jumped off a train going 900 miles an hour onto a bed.
Nope,
it all worked out.
But after that, after she betrays him and she sets him up, then he gets to the lab and this Mon Calamari doctor is talking to him. He says that it's all a trap, and then he kind of looks like at him. He kind of looks at the camera too, and it's just funny because obviously it's a callback.
Yeah. I was dying when I heard that.
So that was fun.
When I heard that and he looked at that guy specifically, I was like, it's a trap, like in my head. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Just went straight to that one scene.
But I mean, it was kind of crazy, and it was interesting too. Like I can't remember if they've called it that before, but just the mind flayer thing obviously made me think of Stranger Things. That that's what their device is called.
Well, it's what the creature's called in Rogue One with the pilot. And they get the information when he goes crazy. Rogue One.
But I thought that was called the Bull Gully.
It's the same thing. That's where that comes from.
Okay.
Yeah. Supposedly.
Gotcha. But I mean, this is just a machine, right?
No, but also the Mind Flayer has been in like Legends for a lot longer than like Stranger Things came into play. Sure. And maybe Dungeons and Dragons actually helped that Star Wars Legends get that name, and then it's just transferred that figure.
Yeah, I don't have that at all.
You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah.
I know. Right when I heard that, I was like, hold up, wait a minute.
And then, I mean, I thought it was crazy how it was. Well, first it was dumb that that one officer, or not officer, but the guy that was in charge of the Mind Flayer, he just walks away and like, yeah, you can stay and watch, and then she cranks it all the way up. So it's going to be interesting to see, how fried his brain is.
What's going to be the explanation though? Like he's like at the end, she's like, and he's like all messed up. He's like, yeah, I want to eat some crayons, and then like they're like, oh, this is normal. Yeah, 100%. I don't think anything happened.
Biscuits. He's still going to want those biscuits.
That's all he's gonna want, dumb biscuits.
But yeah, it's like, well, aren't they gonna be able to figure it out? Like, oh, I left that one person there. Like, she's the only person there.
Literally nobody else in the operating room either. Just
like unless she leaves and goes back to the Empire, like right after this.
Yeah, literally. Oh, I don't think that's gonna happen. She's totally normal, stable human being.
So
I would date her for sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it's gonna be interesting to see, because that may not have been the best writing right there. You know what I mean? It just didn't make a lot of sense.
But I'll tell you what, she did enjoy her cookie at the end. So
yeah, she looks real mean when she's eating that.
I'm telling you,
just ruthless, dude. Ruthless.
Yeah. I mean, who's hungry while they're torturing someone? You know, I think that's like the message there, where she's like so sick, where
Mhm.
she's like eating a cookie, like enjoying just having a snack while torturing someone. But I feel honestly so bad because that guy really wanted to. I think she's working for the Empire, and she's like, this guy wants to help the Republic so bad that like he's going to, and give him all the research. So I need to kill him. And so she's like she's a double spy,
Yeah,
obviously, right?
she played him.
She played him so hard, and she's playing the New Republic because she's a spy for them too. But basically, she's just weeding out people that she thinks are possible liabilities to the Empire by being like an ex-Empire person that's like seeking out these people and like making the call to be saying that they're dangerous, which is crazy. Trust me, I can get into that whole thing with you again, but yeah. So I don't know, man. Thrawn seems like a pretty bad guy,
Oh, for
and
sure.
maybe he's come back and realized. Yeah, he's come back and realized like maybe things aren't what they seem, and maybe he's like Anakin. It's like an Anakin story where he's saying like, "Oh, like I'm gonna build my new empire. Like Palpatine's pretty much dead. I can make force sensitive clones and have like a whole army of like Mandalorians essentially,
Hmm.
and just go out and wipe out like the universe is."
Interesting.
And yeah, so I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a part of me that feels like he is like a Palpatine guy, but we all know that like the second in command to a Sith always tries taking over the Sith. Like he wants to like rule. So maybe that's getting into him a little bit. And they're gonna follow that kind of Star Wars story, you know?
But I feel like he would have to be a Sith to
No,
do
he
that.
might just be like super power hungry, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that.
Maybe he senses like the weakness when I'm saying like Palpatine's been gone and they're trying to clone him, and like now he's like, all right, well, like screw that. I don't need to clone him. I could just clone my own like force sensitive clones and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And we've already seen things about making them compliant with the first clones, and so like technology's already there for him to get away with having like an army for himself. So I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's get back to the really good stuff about this episode. Um, the third act.
Yep. Okay.
And,
Let's do it.
we see they go back to this Mandalorian hideout, and Din is telling Bo-Katan, it's gonna be best if you keep the helmet on. You're gonna be my guest, and they're gonna receive you better if you just kind of play by the rules. And I feel like this third act is not long enough, but there are, I feel like, again, just a bunch of great things that we could pull apart from this, starting from the very beginning when they walk up, and just the history that like you and I have seen, and some other big time fans have seen with Paz Vizsla. He knows who Bo-Katan is. Like, he knows her history as well, and of course he's like skeptical off the bat. He's saying how, Din Djarin, you're an apostate, and I don't really believe that you have the living water. And Bo-Katan's like, I was a witness to him, and then he's like, you're. Oh, he also calls her a night owl too. So I thought that was cool that they all know that, they all are aware of her faction that she's started, and he's like, your clan, fell away from the way, and you're an apostate to us too. So I don't really trust you guys, but we're gonna let you come in and talk to the armor, and test out the water and see if it's true. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, Paz Vizsla ancestor of Pre Vizsla, who was part of Death Watch. Bo-Katan was once part of Death Watch as well. So I feel like there's history there. Maybe that's leading us towards like some good conversations between the two of them at some point, or maybe some conflict with them later on.
I was gonna say, you seem pretty optimistic about that relationship, don't you?
No.
You like maybe some good conversation between them?
Well, I meant
maybe a team up.
I meant like interesting conversations.
Dude, he wants to kill her so bad.
Probably because then a little bit later he's still not impressed once they, you know.
He does not like it, which is weird. I love that you brought it up though, because it's pretty strange.
Yeah. So then they talk to the armor. She tests the water, and he's redeemed. And then what's really cool, which I didn't really see this coming either, but she said, by Kree, you bathed in the water too, and you haven't taken off your helmet since then, so you're a part of our clan now as well, for as long as you want, and you can leave whenever you want, but for now you're one of us. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then seeing all the Mandalorians except for Paz, all the other ones, go up to
all but one. Yeah,
they all go up to Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, and they put a hand on their shoulder and kind of like welcoming them, and that was kind of cool. And then the music is really great in this scene too, and it's just it really leaves you thinking. And again, like I remember talking about this in like early reviews of season 1, but it's still true. Like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, they've done really well, and the other directors too. They've done really well when it comes to showing emotion or conveying these characters' thoughts with the helmet on, and they do it, in subtle ways by the tilt of their head and through the music. You're able to kind of get an idea of what they could be thinking or what they could be feeling in those moments. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Without actually seeing their facial expression, which is like, crazy to do, because it's like there's not really any expression there, and yet they find a way to do it with the other tools that they have.
So what do you think the expression of Bo-Katan was?
I feel like
because I kind of mentioned something earlier.
Yeah, I feel like she could be considering it a little bit. I mean, you and I talked about it last week, how she felt like she was impressed or inspired by Din's loyalty, his devotion, to his creed and to his faction. And then when they were all welcoming her, I think the emotion that was there is kind of like I miss having this unity, like this bond with other Mandalorians that are like, have such a strong bond together, and now like they're coming to my side and like they're welcoming me back, and I feel like all those things are kind of going through her mind at the moment. So I don't know if she really will stick with them, and walk the way, as they say, but I feel like she could be considering it. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. So again, I could talk about this for another 15 minutes. Give me an hour on the stream time and I'm good.
Break it down.
Yeah, exactly.
Break it all down.
What you said. Crazy to me. It was such a twist that I really didn't see coming, that they could throw another twist at us later, a couple of different twists, but I'm curious to know about what you think about maybe some of the directions they could take it. But
can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for
It's a
it.
question for you, because with this twist that they took here at the end, do you think it's the armor pulling both Din Djarin and Bo-Katan in closer, only to, you know, turn on them later? You think that's kind of how it happens?
So that's kind of one of the twists. There could be 2 to 3. I think there honestly is 3 possible twists, and that's one of them, is the fact that like she still doesn't like that Din Djarin has the dark saber, and she wants the other Vizsla to get it.
Oh, you're saying the armor doesn't want him to have it?
Yeah, the armor doesn't want him to have it, and that's why she's kind of welcoming them, and she wants the other big guy, the other Vizsla. Was Pre-Vizsla, right? No,
Paz.
Paz Vizsla, to get it, and so she's kind of buttering them up to like have him take them on, which would be I would be fine with that if they did it the correct way, where Bo-Katan or Din Djarin dies, which it would probably be Din, and then Bo has to kill him to get the saber back and rule the rest of Mandalore. You know, but I also think it might
Djarin
just
has already beaten Paz. You know what I mean?
that's the thing that I was going to also talk about. Listen, you're getting deep into the conversation here now, Dom. Okay, but
Well, this is the best part of the episode for sure.
no, yeah, and you could break down so much. Like I could still talk about how what I said. I think specifically about the end of episode 2, and how near the end of it, Bo-Katan looks at Din Djarin, and I said that it looked like she like admired him, like for what he was doing, and that's why I also asked you at the beginning of the episode of this episode that we're doing is, do you think that she wanted to kill him? Like the fact that she thought that she was chosen after seeing it, where she was like, okay, like maybe I need to do this, rather than like after admiring him and then like everything that preceded that being like, okay, maybe this is the way, where she kind of goes back into her getting drawn back into the family aspect, where you know, her whole family, like her whole clan left her castle's destroyed. It's basically a fresh restart for her, and that's how she takes it, as maybe she admires this guy and wants to like help him become a leader of Mandalore, or like is starting to understand that there's a greater purpose to the Mandalore way. I know I'm talking all over the place. I'm trying to keep it as short as possible, but
no, it's cool.
Okay, so I think that she admired him, and I think by the end of this episode, we see that she gets that like he might be following the correct path. Like it's backwards of what I said last week of it's the Force saying it's not the right way, which maybe it's not, and that's why they always get the kapoots kicked out of them.
Well, it was interesting that the armorer told Bo-Katan, like, you know, you've been redeemed, and you can, you know, walk the way with us like your ancestors did. You know what I mean? So at one point, because the Children of the Watch, they try to replicate like the old teachings, which a lot of the factions have kind of evolved from. They all came from the same place, but they all kind of evolved, or you know, made some changes as time went on, right? But they try to go back to like the original teachings, so maybe way back in the day. That's when they're more strict about keeping your helmet on, for example. But it was just interesting how she said that her ancestors, like Bo-Katan's ancestors, once walked the same way, And so I feel like that could have like struck a chord with her too. It's like, oh well, my ancestors, my family, you know, they went down this path. Like this is how they um, practiced being a Mandalorian at one time. So like maybe I should do that as well. And now like I have that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that's like that's what I'm saying. Like at the beginning, I thought maybe it was her trying to take the sword, be able to figure her way out. But it seems like as this went on, she was way more curious. She knows that the mythosaur is Din Djarin's clan thing, right? His emblem. And it just seemed like she was restarting. It was a fresh start. Her castle is destroyed. She has like no more owls with her. She's like on her own, and she's finding a new clan. And listen, I'm not going to say it, but I've heard a couple people say it. Mama Mando is coming. Okay. Like everyone's saying, like these now, since they're in the same kind of clan, if they stick together, like they can like get married almost and be like together enough to be able to take off their helmets around each other because they're like bond. And then like also, you know, we got a little baby Yoda that's gonna be a Jedi and a Mandalorian. Well, I don't even want to talk about that, but regardless, I think that she's figuring it out. I think that the big guy is gonna get mad. The other Vizsla guy, past Vizsla, and I think he's gonna stir the pot within like the Mandalorians, and it's gonna be up to them to kind of patch up. I don't know the right word, but kind of figure out how to get all these clans to agree. I'm sure there's going to be another civil war because there's always a civil war with these guys. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just ready for Mama Mando and Papa Mando. Okay. And little baby Yoda. And dude, I don't know. The armor, I've also heard a crazy theory. I want to ask you about this too. Is do you think that the armor is the third sister of the Bo-Katan and her sister? Because they have a nephew in the show, and it's not either of their kids. So they have a third sister in Clone Wars. Yeah. And so a lot of people have been saying maybe that the armor is...
What if it's a brother? You know what I mean?
No, I don't. Who would it be then?
Well, I'm saying, what if the nephew was from their brother and
I know.
sister-in-law?
Okay. Maybe. All right. Okay.
I don't know. That might be a stretch for them to say, "Oh, they had another sister."
That's the thing I've been hearing is they probably won't do that, but she's out there somewhere. I'll tell you that much.
Who's out there?
You know, the third sister. She's Thrawn, is what I heard.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know what's happening.
We went off the rails. Okay. Rogue theory. No. You said it was a brother. Maybe it's a brother. Maybe that's Thrawn. You don't know. Okay.
I feel like the armor is going to take off her helmet at some point, or it'll get removed at some point. That'll be kind of crazy.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you too. Is do you think that we're going to see Jon Favreau as the other guy, and do you think the armor is going to like show her face too? Because a lot of people have been saying that it'd be not a twist, but super uncharacteristic of the armor to do that. But also maybe she starts seeing Mando and Bo like figuring their stuff out and realizing that it's not such a like drastic thing, especially if they go and tame the mythosaur. You know, it's like she's gonna be like, okay, like I'll follow your way because that's the way.
No, I feel like if they take off their helmets, like both of them, it would be like in battle, like it gets taken off by someone else.
like kind of like a Jenga Fett situation where picks up his dad's helmet and the head falls out and they just zoom in on his face. It's like freaking out. No, okay, all right. Just seeing what you're thinking.
I think his head fell out. By the way,
It's actually in. You see the shadow. I think when he picks it up, the shadow from the helmet. Yeah, messed up, man.
Interesting take. I expect nothing less from you.
Hey, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there, okay? This was thousands and millions of years ago, okay?
There's just so much going on in like these last 8 minutes that we got.
Yeah.
I'm just like really anxious to figure out what's going on here.
I think you might be looking a little bit too deep into it with Armor. I think the other guy is pretty upset about the situation. I think that Bo is starting to realize that she has a service to the Mandalorians instead of being unruly child, because that's basically what she's been her whole life. Is she went against the Mandalore. She was rebellious. Maybe now she's starting to realize this guy is like a pretty stable human being. He has good morals. He knows what he's doing, but he's definitely not of the clan that he's part of. We've seen him break the rules, which means that he understands that the rules need to be broken. And I think that she and him are going to figure it out. Going to have to kill that big guy. And that crazy chick that's torturing people with a mind flare, she needs to get cut in half by that saber.
Oh my gosh.
And we're going to figure it out. Thrawn's going to come. Ahsoka's going to be in the last episode of the season. I'm calling it right now. She's coming back. It's going to be the hype moment for her series. It's going to be great.
So, we've talked about the Armor potentially being maybe not the main bad guy, because I think Thrawn is going to be the main bad guy at the end of the day, but a pretty significant antagonist for the show.
Maybe she lulled me in.
You think we're wrong?
No, I felt it the other week. I was saying that, but maybe I got honeypotted, okay? And maybe I'm starting to fall in love with that Armor.
You got Winnie the Pooh?
Yeah, I got Winnie the Pooh, and maybe she's not so bad. Maybe she understands that progress needs to happen to get the Mandalore together, and maybe she's sick of it. She's like a mom. She's over it. She's like, get out of my house, children. I don't want you in here anymore, And so I have no idea. So I don't know. It could go.
She might just be good, or just
Here's the I don't think that she's good. Yeah, I don't think she's good or bad. I think she has rules that she follows, and maybe she could bend them. And if not, then that's what it is. I think people are gonna have a meltdown regardless. So we're gonna find out.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I don't know. A part of me says that she's probably still bad. But you know why that would be a good twist too, is because
that she's bad.
She's kind of like a mother figure to Din, just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, first season it seemed like she was pretty. She liked him. She took extra care of him. It almost seemed like in the first season. So I don't know.
It's interesting.
I think she has a soft spot for him.
But maybe she's also ready to betray him.
I think it's going to be that big guy. I think it's going to be Vizsla. Past Vizsla that stirs the pot. I think that he's going to maybe want to challenge him for a second time. And hopefully that's when Bo-Katan just like comes out and cuts his head off with it, you know. And I don't know. I have no I dude, it could go so many ways. It could go so many
I
ways.
know it really could, because like maybe Paz is like winning this next time if they do fight, and then Bo-Katan steps in.
And she handles business. And maybe she doesn't even need the sword to begin with and ends up taking it from him with her shield and her knives and then just like jacks him up, and then everyone's like,
Dude, because Bo-Katan is the craziest Mandalorian out there. Like,
she is.
she's
Hands
probably
down.
not like, maybe not like physical strength like Paz, but like when it comes down to it, like she's the toughest.
No, she's the most skilled for sure.
Yeah.
Like if you say Bo or Paz, like with the sword, like Bo would destroy him. Even if he had the sword, I think Bo would use her shield and like figure out a way to get it and just handle business, because
Yeah.
she's handled it before. Like I don't know what it is.
Didn't beat him when Paz had the sword and he didn't.
Exactly.
And he still beat him.
Because it's heavy for him. Yeah, Bo would just like cut his arms off and leg off like Anakin Skywalker and say good day, sir, you know? So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, shoot, man, I think that's pretty much it for our breakdown.
That's it, folks.
But yeah, guys, you know, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you thought of this episode. What's your theories? Where's this season headed? Do you think the armor could be one of our antagonists here? Do you think we're about to see Thrawn, maybe even in the next episode? What's going on with Gideon? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments section. We want to hear about it.
Do Bo and Din finally tie the knot? Let us know.
Yeah. Take home Grogu.
Hey, you know, he's a strange looking baby, but you know, he's something else. So
I'd say maybe a 7 out of 10 for me this episode. Again, like you, I didn't really care too much for the middle that much. But like the beginning and the end, I thought were just so good.
Yeah, I would say a 6, and it would be a 4 without the beginning in the end, because I don't care for the espionage of this lame doctor talking about cloning. I get that it's like a hint towards the much greater story of Star Wars, but no bueno. So.
Yeah, but we want the space western.
Give me this.
Because it's a space western.
I mean, dude, that fighting, like the gunships and all that in the beginning, and holy smokes, and then he jumps off and almost gets hit by like 4 of them, and
yeah,
I'm like, holy smokes. It was, give me that. That's what I want to see. Save the other stuff for Andor if you want. Save it for whatever you want, but yeah. Sorry. I had to rant there a little bit because
no, it's all good.
I was so disappointed. When you keep looking at the time to see how much is left of the episode, I did that about 8 times. I was like, please, like, can I just get back? Is it happening? Like, why can't we just get through this? I thought it was gonna be like a short cutback, and then it ended up being the whole episode. And I was like, okay,
right.
I'm sorry, just upset.
Hey, I feel you. But okay, guys, that's going to be it for our episode 3 review. We'll be back next week, of course, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, talking about episode 4. But in the meantime, we've been putting out a lot more episodes on the channel. You guys may have noticed that, shorter episodes, and some of those are doing really well. So just want to shout out to you guys who have been watching. Really appreciate it. The one that I did solo on the Mandalorian factions, like the 3 big ones, where I talked about Death Watch, the Shadow Collective and the Children of the Watch. That one did really well, and then also one of the what I call the lost episode with me and Jake a couple months back. I made that into a short video about Dooku, and that one's done really well also. So if you haven't seen those, check them out. Yeah, they're pretty cool, I think. So thank you guys for tuning in, and yeah, I guess we will catch you guys in the next one.